Hello, everybody. My name is Clarence Napier, the multi-state insurance broker, licensed in Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Washington State, and California. Today is September 7th, 2025, and I am also the president at 321 Business Development, which will be an LLC in the state of Georgia in a few short months. Today's podcast episode is titled, At Appointments, Just When You Think You Will Close the Deal, You Can Still Lose. Now, this is a real major part of or segment in our 321 Biz Development Training, a 6 to 9 hour training that we offer via webinar or via a face-to-face meeting. And the reason why this episode or this segment in our training and this episode is important is because we have seen at 321 Biz Development, and I have done personally before I stopped my screw ups, having these meetings with prospects, and the meeting looks like it's going pretty good. It looks like the person will say yes. And what I mean by that, some people may have heard the phrase or the words trial close. That system, if that's the best that I could have received by working with some of these financial services companies over the years, it's probably good enough. That's not what we use at 321 Biz Development. But a trial close is when the prospect gives you many or several verbal sort of acknowledgments or sort of affirmations or sort of like, yeah, that sounds like a good deal, and you consider that a positive, you consider that positive feedback. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes prospects, and we talk about this in our training, will say things like that, like give you positive feedback. I'm not going to say to trick you, but they have a reason to do that. Prospects have a reason to give you sometimes fake positive feedback. And we talk about it at our training. But let's just assume the feedback is not fake. They're giving you feedback about maybe your price, your product, how it's going to help them. And you take that as a salesperson, a business owner, and you say, okay, that's moving in the right direction. And the problem comes when you continue talking. And that brings me to the phrase that we use in the 321 Biz Development Training called the corridor of agreement. Now, this is important. If you take your hand and where your thumbs are, there's a distance between your thumbs, your two thumbs. And there's a distance between your fingertips. Please make the distance between your fingertips smaller than the distance between your thumbs. So you can see that your fingers are kind of converging to a narrower point or distance. The distance is shorter between your fingertips than the distance between your two thumbs. That's what I mean by corridor. And when salespeople talk longer than they should, they begin to see that corridor become narrower and narrower, which means the probability that existed between the thumbs, which was higher, now is getting smaller and smaller. And that's because the salesperson, the business owner, did not acknowledge mentally that this prospect at the appointment was basically saying, it looks like I should buy. Like I said, trial closes are great if that's the best you can get. If you can get that kind of training, that's the best. If that's the best that you can get, it's pretty satisfactory. It's not what we use at 321 Biz Dev, and you should see what we use at 321 Biz Development. But I've seen this many times among many different professions, CPAs, attorneys. I've seen it with dentists. I've seen it with people that put tile in custom homes, tile work that's like $10,000, $15,000. I've seen it with real estate agents that are trying to get the listing or trying to get the buyer, and they just freaking talk too much. And when you talk too much, basically what that is telling the person at the appointment is that you're not listening. You're not listening to this buyer, to this prospect, basically saying that it looks like your product or service is a good fit for them. You're not listening. And when that happens, if you get so far down the corridor of agreement where it's so narrow, that prospect will then tell you, well, I thought about it. I think I need more time. And essentially what that prospect is saying is that you disrespected them. Especially if you went 20, 30, 45 minutes past what the prospect considered, where they have already said they want to buy, and they're just waiting for you to ask the buy question. They're waiting for you to make the buy question, but you showed them a bunch of slides. You showed them a bunch of brochures. You had your PowerPoints presentation out. You said, look, Joe, I know that you think this is a good deal, but let me show you this to make sure you understand this is a good deal. Joe's not freaking interested in seeing that. Joe has already said, based on what he heard or what he saw, that he's essentially in the buying mood. But no, Mike didn't see it. Mike spent too much time trying to puff himself up, trying to make sure that he did all of the presentation that his boss or that he thinks he should do. He tried to download mentally into the prospect's mind all the technical specs. Look, the prospect doesn't give a shit about the technical specs. Not now. Where after they buy, yes, they're interested in some of the configurations, technical specs, what are the defined details that they may need to follow to use this product or service, because they know you know that. They know you know that. You're the one that passed the bar, you passed the CPA exam, you went to dental school, you went to plastic surgery medical school, you got your construction or contractor's license in the state that you live in, you passed the real estate broker exam. Of course, the prospect knows you know the fine details. So I'm just saying, as I close, please, when you hear these buy signals, these trial and your trial closes appear to have positive results, please, as they say in Spanish, por favor, please do not continue talking. And if you want to attend to hear more sales topics like this, we have an online networking session, actually 2 per day, Mondays and Wednesdays, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific. Talk about your business for 3 to 5 minutes, and then we will follow up with a sales topic just like this one. It won't be the full 69-hour 3-2-1 selling without appearing to sell sales training, but it'll be topic based, and I think people will get something out of it. You can ask questions. So anyway, take care. Have a fantastic week, this week of September 8th, Monday through Friday, including Saturday if you work on Saturday. Take care.